Hey guys, brothers and sisters, I came back so that I can explain my ideas. The clip that I made in Tigunya, so it's gonna be more accessible and understandable by the Eritrean diaspora communities and our kids and everything. So literally, what I'm saying in the Tigunya clip is. That we as Eritreans we don't have to isolate ourselves like we used to they tell us like we are 5 million people in Eritrea and abroad, or we as collective are together. I don't think that's right. Number one, they don't do any statistical kind of like census every year, and people are running away from the country, and all these horrible years for so many years, and I don't think we are more than 1 million people. Like, obviously they just hunting all the people as in the country, outside, so I think our numbers are really decreasing, and, our demographic kind of expansion, there's nothing literally. Basically, what they do is they just hunt you everywhere. They make you poor, that you cannot support yourself. You always just are dependable slave self wherever you are in Eritrea, outside everything, that's how horrible thing it is. And so already what the English people say, the wazi fazi, all these Harandawa, all these Beni Amir people from lowland Eritrea who are serfs, slaves for the Betaskede clans of Hamas and area. So so this is to the extent they made the whole of Eritrea serf, slave serfs, like this Asgade kind of ancient kind of things that was going on before the Italians came in Eritrea. Okay, so they literally made us slave serfs everywhere. So what they do is they take all your wives, your kids, everything, and you are left just really vulnerable, economically very dependable, really someone who hasn't got no power, really corrupt person, slave, literally slave. You don't have no economical ownership. You don't say I got kids that I can teach everything, I can everything. You don't have someone, you just say wife or girlfriend. They just literally, they take and they try to control the relationship economy, like this demand and supply that you have in economics. All these traders, people that we know from our local area and other. In the past, those who are much richer people, they buy all the community items from the local area. Then what happens is all the markets, like maybe it could be grain or sugar or maybe salt, they buy everything from that local area. So they deposit it into their warehouse. So the price of items skyrockets so much that all the people get really into victimhood, and so they do control the demand and supply. It's the same thing economy they use with the women. I mean, when I say women, relationship, so that people cannot find a woman to get married or girlfriend, they do control the economy of relationship, my friend. So that means you're not gonna be able to have kids, to prosper in life, reproduction, my friend. You just are left being as a wanker. Sorry to say that word, it's really horrible. That's how much to the extent, when you come to Europe, we only, I think we are maybe maximum 2 million people, The white people found out these secrets and they're like, hey, you little vulnerable, I know you, you're a wanker, you don't have a wife, you don't have a girlfriend, aren't you? I know you. I know your history. And when you are having a shower, maybe outside, they come like, hey, one for me too. I'm a princess. Look, declare. This is how much humiliated the person made us, my friend. It's really, really horrible stuff, I know. So we, as Eritreans, isolating ourselves from 100 million population of these Ethiopians means we're losing big market share, consumerism, export. That means we're just nothing, my friend, slaves. Okay, slaves that you cannot sell your service, intellect service. It could be banking, it could be tourism, everything. Yourself, you slave. You don't have anyone to sell your items. Like could be like production from your farm, like all these cows, cattle, goat, sheep, poultry, and fruits and vegetable. You don't have anyone, no market to sell it to. You know, that's how much horrible was it fuzzy being, my friend. Like you are just that little thing. You just carry your what is it, machete, or like all your musketeer. You just follow like this little soldier for the British Second World War. Soldiers, slave soldiers, they call it like what's it fuzzy, and they tell you, hey, watch out, my friend, you don't get into hybrid. What's the word? Hybrid. This is how much he gets so much humiliated when he tried to isolate himself from 100 people. Big market, my friend. It's really massive market in Ethiopia. Okay, we as Eritreans in the past ancient times, I was reading this book that the Portuguese ambassador wrote by saying in Ethiopia during Emperor Lebna Dengel, that was how much our life was interconnected. So we have that prince, so we could be king. So Emperor Lebna Dengel being an emperor, so the king of our era was called, I think, King, I forgot his name. Then his brother was later Gabra Maskal, and from our area. So his warehouse was in somewhere in Hamhamo, around Roba Haddas kind of thing. So that's the economical center. So when all the items, grains, everything are exported from Tigray, from Eritrea, from Gondar, they are deposited into that warehouse in Hamhamo. So that's warehouse, like where you have this Amazon big depot, like all these massive supermarkets in the logistical supermarkets in Europe. So that's the place. I just forgot the name, man. So all these people, areas that we had in Awane, Berhenet, all that kind of, that was the traffic of economy. And when you go import coming, all this silk, everything, wine, everything from foreign countries, Mediterranean countries, from China, India, Arab countries, it has to pass through this Hamhamo going to Gondar, because Gondar was the seat. Or in the ancient times, they didn't have a settled kind of like a palace or things that there was no settled government. So what they do was the emperor has to move anywhere, strategical, very important place with all his soldiers. It was later, I think they founded all this Roha Gondar in Gondar. So they made it facilities later, So that time our life was together, same, my friend. So we were speaking Tigrinya, Amharic. We are interrelated brothers and sisters, my friend. This is just, it's not a joke. We're not just this wazi fuzzy kind of thing, my friend. We're not slaves. We're not serfs, okay? So we isolating from the market, from our brothers and sisters makes us a really vulnerable position, okay? We become really flankers, okay? I hate that word. So every European, they just don't have no respect for you, okay? Any black person, African, Arabs, they just see you as really vulnerable. 2 million people are really negligent, negligible, of no use, my friend. Even when they come bringing their items to sell to you, you don't have a big market. You're not 100 million population to sell all their items, services, everything. You're just 2 million people, really useless. Okay, so that's what means slave means, serfs means, okay? So all these are culture, kind of identity, our names, Tigrinya names, our language, our Giz, our Amharic. We are all the same, my friend. So all this nonsense these people brought us from this Sahel fighting, all that kind of was just to make us so isolated, this really little, no significance whatsoever. Okay, so that's how much really humiliating it is, okay? So what do you have? You have European Economic Commission. That's how they used to call them, EEC. So they became now European Union. So around there, between 200, 300, 500 maximum population, all of them together, as maybe how many, 27 countries together. That's a big free market. They just exchange their services, commodity products, everything. They just trade with no checking control in the area. That's their brothers and sisters, my friend. It's the same thing we as Eritreans, Tigray, Amhara and Oromo, we are Ethiopia and Eritrea, we are the same kind of thing, you know. All these stupid Chinese and Russian intoxicated, drunk people of all this suffering, you know, really horrible people who don't own a land, who don't own a house, who don't own no dignity whatsoever. That's how they brainwash all the people, like, you know. So they made us fight all these cities for nothing, you know. When you go to Eritrea, my friend, I think half the population from the past fighters, all of them are disabled. You know, why you go left is just really old people of no use. When I don't mean in a negative way, because you know they've been decapitated. You know, all this napalm bomb, all this sulfur, all this radioactive material. Things were being poured on these people, you know. That's really horrible thing, my friend. That's a victim, that's a slavery, that's a suffering, all this because they just make you read all these Leninist Marxists, all this, you know, Hegel kind of really crap kind of doctrine, which makes you always dream in a land. You say like we are equal and everything, like, you know, they just make you owning nothing, no farm to sustain yourself, living in the village, no big farms to export, okay, no industrialized factories for you to trade with other nations. You just really this wazi fuzzy slave stuff. That's how they made us, okay. So this guy was this Joseph Gabriel. He was writing about this regal syndrome disease, where people always try to aspire being a king and a prince and a princess, like, you know. So he made this really horrible stuff, and he was depicting us as people, as a slave soldiers. I mean, when he say we around the area, he was telling in his article, like, you know, these are people who just really suffer, and they always dance for no reason. All this agitprop Russian kind of like people who get into trance with music and get wow, they go mad and they just go fighting, shooting, spray and everywhere. That's how he depicted him as a clever person, and he was bringing this girl called Mahta. Mahta means like this sun ray, beautiful woman, like, you know, she just shines, like, you know, she just strikes your heart with her beauty and her charisma. She shines like, you know, like all this Egyptian ray of beauty, like all these Nefertiti kind of things that helped shoot that we always read as kids. He just made her like that. So he was just writing so volume upon volume, so people don't notice what's going on. So he was saying Nusu and Nissa. So what means Nusu means is him, and Nissa means she. So people get so much trepidated and scared by the awe of fear of trepidation of you know, all this really big, legendary, massive superpower hero. Nusu means president, the president Isaiah, having the biblical name Isaiah from the Bible. What he's saying is like, you know, all these people, slave soldiers, are not worth even to say his name, what is such a sacred name. You know, Isaiah from the Bible, you shouldn't say that his name. You should say Lusu, him. You know, you should be scared of him. He's just really superpower, big, like, you know, Herculean kind of just Greece mythology, like, you know, just this legendary someone who should be feared in trepidation and all this honor, respect, fear. You don't even have to call him Isaiah. You have to call him Nusu. And that woman is just so much really shining sunshine, you know. Really her beauty just reflects and, like, you know, penetrates all the people around her, and, you know, her magic, her beauty, like all this tall, slender, red skin, you know, long hair, really, like, you know, really majestic. I don't know how I can explain it, like just like, you know, her sunshine, her smile, her beauty, just making it so dazzling. Like, that's how much he was explaining about his article, I know. But he was just going on and on and on, volumes upon volumes. Like, you know, he's a guy who studied philosophy, who read, well read with ancient Greece, mythical figures, creation, all this legendary heroism, creation thing. I think that was the kind of game he was playing on his article. And all these people, like, just worship. The guy just looks like this Funga. Funga, really funny face, from Adukhala or maybe from Mandafara. This is how much contempt he's got to our people, to us, literally. When you go to Eritrea around my area, all these people, the young people, I remember when I was young, I see them when they're playing all this their music, they were circling all these boys and girls, like, the way they were jumping with their drum, koboro, they kind of like, all these women singing, the boys, like, they were so fit and really handsome, like, I have that always that picture in as a kid, and seeing a face of Yosef Gabriel, he looks like this really burned black black pan, frying pan, just saying all the words, all these people is just being martyred, who passed away now. It's really hurtful. It's really penetrated so much into your feeling. When I read the article, I was just really hurt for so long, You wouldn't even complain. People like, as a kind of thing that I grew up back in my village in Eritrea when I was a kid, seeing all these really handsome people, collecting and fetching, Pinkley, Pinkley was the word, Beles, was this, it's like a gel, it's like a food that we eat. They used to carry, like, they were so fit with the short trouser, with shorts, and really handsome people. They're awful, their complexion, they're really slender, and their sense of humor, their jokes. They were dancing in the wedding, and in the honeymoon, like, just I always dreamed that when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I went to this Kudus Johannes festivity gathering around near the our Savior, Jesus Christ, near the church. So that was a dancing. So I think somewhere in 1986 or maybe 87, I'm not 100% sure. I was really this little. So they took all of them, they fished all of them, and I think the majority of them, they never made it to their house, and they become martyrs. So this Yosef Gabriel saying all that really horrible, despising, kind of really humiliating kind of words to give this Mahta, Nissa, and Nusu this really big credence, big importance, this really super hero, magic, big, kind of really big Heraclean, powerful, with big muscle, big kind of really filled grandeur image, and this woman that really beautiful, being beautiful woman, that the earth has never seen. All this, like this Egyptian princess woman depiction, and just giving us that really slave soldier victimhood, like a slaves, like a serf. It's really hurtful. So that's what you get when you're isolated from 100 million population. You get my point, my friend? We as other area, our name is like, land of this really beautiful skinned people. Kayahti means, like, light skinned people, really handsome and beautiful people. We are close to the sea. Okay, when you are naturally close to the sea, to the sea, it means it gives you a lot of really very super advantage. You having a local area, villages, farms, everything, you produce all your vegetables and fruits and all your meat, everything, poultry, to export to all the nations, and tourism as well. The land, I mean, the sea is just 2 hours cycling from Adaya, like all these four Zula, Adulis, this Komajorot, Igila, all that. It's just only maybe 2 hours cycling. Okay, maybe if you're riding a horse, maybe 1 hour and a half, because it's a shortcut. So that gives us really big comparative advantage of economical power, as opposed to all these people from Yosef Gabriel and Abdul and they are too far away from this area. Okay, so that means it's economical power, my friend. Having all this really mastering of Amharic language in Ethiopia gives us really big comparative advantage, economic power, intellectual power. So we don't have to isolate ourselves from these people. Otherwise, the Europeans are not going to respect us, my friend. Okay, the Arabs are not going to respect us. The more you have brothers and sisters, 100 million population, it means power, economic power, my friend. People respect you, they fear you, because they know already there is someone who's gonna back you up. Okay, you're not gonna that this really isolated wazi-fazi kind of thing, you know, just a slave soldier always fighting for the British or for the Arabs. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, like, you know, all these slave soldiers fighting for nothing, just for Allahu Akbar, maybe for fundamentalist slavery Arab propagation. Okay, so my friend, all this we don't have to isolate ourselves, because this really crafty evil man try to always isolate us, make an ally. You independent woman, you know, he takes all you women as a demand and supply so that he can control it. So you are left as a wanker person, right? You always live as wanky, and that white woman coming on the street, hey, I know you, you little boy, you wanker, you don't have a wife. Is that you? I'm coming, come wanking too. You know, that's really humiliation, my friend. You know, all these Arabs, everything. Okay. So we don't have to isolate myself. We are people of dignity. We got really massive land, beautiful sea. We have to use our tourism resources.